Well, hello, York Alliance. Welcome back to this video update. Welcome back to my home office as I continue to work almost exclusively from here, as many of you are working almost exclusively from your homes. Thanks for checking out this video update. It's been a little while since I've updated you via video, and I wanted to give you some information on some key things that are happening now and are going to be happening in the next several weeks as we move forward. We're 6 or 7 weeks for some of us into what are some pretty extreme social distancing practices. And I think a lot of us, at least if the group of you that I've talked with are any indication, are starting to feel it. It's starting to be monotonous and difficult. And some of the newness of the early on practices and the will to push through is starting to wear, and it's getting more and more difficult. I wish that the news that I had for you is that things were ending soon and things were looking different, but I'm afraid I don't see that happening, particularly within the larger church gatherings. Smaller gatherings of various kinds will likely, within the next weeks and months, be both allowable and hopefully increasingly safe. But larger gatherings, particularly with a church the size of ours, are going to be more and more difficult for a period of time, particularly for those who have underlying medical conditions or are part of our older community. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that things change in a way that I don't see them changing real soon. But at this stage, we're planning for a continued process of something like this. It's going to be different than this for sure, but that there's not going to be the ability for us to gather together in the larger Sunday corporate gathering for still quite a while. And I know that's tough. I know that's very disorienting for many of us. I know I feel that looking into the camera over and over again is not what I signed up for, but this is where we are right now. And so I want to encourage you. And so along that line, there's several things that I think are really important for us to take note of. First one is this. Back on March 15th, when we began live streaming our worship gatherings, we also made the decision with the elders to not celebrate communion during our Lenten season, has it been our practice, and via live stream, but instead to wait until we could gather back together again. The reason for that is because communion has the root word community, and we recognize that the practice of the Lord's Supper is really to be a communal activity. However, we wanted to balance that with the admonition of the scriptures to regularly practice and remember the Lord's Supper. And so the first Sunday in May had kind of been a target for us. If we weren't able to gather back together again by the first Sunday in May, then we were going to look at celebrating communion live stream. And so this Sunday, we are going to do just that. We are going to plan to celebrate communion together as an entire body via live stream. Here are some information for that. First of all, we'd love for you to bring your own elements. As much as I would love to come and deliver door to door, that's just not going to be feasible. And so I want to invite you to get elements from your kitchen, whatever that looks like. And so obviously, if you have grape juice and bread, you're in great shape. But if you don't feel like you have to run out to the store. It's okay to substitute. So grape juice or grape soda, or really anything that has a grape feel to it, that's almost exact. But if you don't have grape, go with some other kind of soda. Go with bread or crackers. Coke and cornbread works fine, no big deal, but use something that represents, that's really the heart of the celebration and the remembrance. Get something that represents the juice and the bread, representing the body and the blood of Jesus. We'll celebrate toward the end of our worship gathering, and so our hope is that families will be able to celebrate together. I know kids are doing a lot of different things during the live stream, and some of you are checking it out later, and that's totally fine as well. But I'll give you a little bit of warning as we get there that you'll have a little bit of time to gather kids together and gather elements together, and you'll have an opportunity to celebrate together. So it would be a wonderful time to serve one another as a family. But it's also going to be great for you if you're alone to be able to celebrate virtually with all of us. So the power of communion is that we're all in this together and that we're all equal at the foot of the cross. And so I hope you'll plan to join us on Sunday, and especially near the end of our worship gathering as we celebrate communion together. I recognize that not everybody can do live streams. So while I don't see specifics in terms of who's on and who's off, I do see total numbers, and I just recognize not everybody's able to jump on for various reasons, because of family dynamics, because of schedules, etc. And so even though not everybody's able to engage those things, it is vital for us to engage the church in a broader sense. And so I know some of you are doing that through, instead of the live stream, the daily devotional podcast, which is wonderful. Some of you are connecting with other churches online because it's an opportunity for you to do that. And I totally get that. And some of you, if we're totally honest, have taken a season off from church and even from Jesus and putting that relationship on hold. And while I wish desperately that that wasn't the case, I know that it's a reality for some. But here's an interesting thing. Our community groups of 8 to 12 roughly, that were already meeting together prior to this pandemic, are reporting not just maintaining connection, but actually an increase of connection during this time. They're talking about having really deep and meaningful conversations, often over Zoom or some other kind of online platform, staying connected by phone, and really being able to encourage one another in new ways. I don't know when we're going to be able to gather as a group of 500 people again, or even a group of 100 people 4 or 5 different times on a Sunday morning. I just don't know when that's going to be. But I do know that we're capable of gathering 8 to 12 or so on Zoom, and that it works really well. I was with our community group last night, and it was wonderful. It was a really great connection time. And so I know that many of us are not connected in that way right now. That for various reasons leading up to this, you haven't been able to make that connection, or some of you were on a waiting list and just hadn't gotten connected yet. And so I recognize that. I want to ask 2 things of you as it relates to community group. The first one is this. I'm planning to train at least 5 to 10 new leaders, individuals, or couples within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a very basic model. We've stripped down the model to a really simple and easily replicatable model. It's very light in training, light in preparation, and great with connection. But it's powerful. Those connections are really, really powerful. And so first, let me ask you, are you willing to consider stepping forward to lead a group like that? To coordinate a Zoom meeting, to coordinate a FaceTime connection, and as things change, to coordinate a backyard social distancing connection where you can meet for an hour to an hour and a half a week and connect with one another. If you're willing to consider that to see if it's a fit for you, would you shoot me an email? bkannel, BKANNEL, at yorkalliance.org. BKANNEL at yorkalliance.org. You can also send to info@yorkalliance.org, and that can get forwarded on to me. You can go to our website and find information and forward that. But if you're interested in stepping forward to lead, or you're even willing to consider it, would you send me an email? I would love to put you on a list, invite you into that training in the next week or so, and begin the process of seeing whether that's a fit for you or not. The second thing, and this applies to everybody that's listening to this and everybody that calls York Alliance their church home. If you are not in a community group right now, or if you signed up and never heard back because the pandemic hit and you never were followed up with, or if your group has been disbanded or disconnected for some reason because of the Mosaic plant or some other reason, can I ask you to sign up on our website to consider stepping into a community group now? Even if you haven't been in one before because of schedule, because of life, just because you chose not to be. Can I encourage you to do that right now? I would love to get you into one of these new groups, you and your family into one of these new groups. I'd love to add you to an existing group. We're trying to group together somewhat geographically so that when we are able to meet in smaller groups, we're able to do that relatively easily. If you go to our website, yorkalliance.org, at the top it says ways to connect. And if you click on that, you're going to get a list of ways that you can connect. And one of those is signing up for a community group. If you would go and click on that link and sign up for a community group, we would love to get you into a group within the next month. We really want to connect as many as possible together within the next month. There are lots of ways that we envision being able to connect people through community groups over the summer and into the fall and winter. The CDC is saying that it's very likely that through the fall and winter we'll be moving back and forth between these social distancing and even shelter-in-place orders and being able to gather together in small groups, mid-sized groups, etc. And so those of us who are already connected during this time will find that it's much easier to stay connected and to be fed during this way. So let me encourage you to consider, even if you've not done a community group before, or even if you did a life group way back in the day and you were just kind of burnt out of it, this would be a great time to jump in. And so can I encourage you, go to yorkalliance.org, sign up for a community group, and jump into that. Couple other shorter things that we can hit while we're together here via video. One, practice guides. They're being released now each week for a week-long practice, at least for the next 3 weeks and this past week, so at least 4 weeks total. There are really helpful ways that you can connect with your neighbors and your neighborhood, the community around you, in safe ways, serve others, make an impact in the world around you as the scattered church. And so let me encourage you to check those out, read through them, and consider engaging all or part of the activities that are in there. Also, if you have needs, we would love to hear about them. We have a long and growing list of people who are saying we would be glad to meet needs, whether those be practical needs, whether those be financial needs, prayer needs. We want to connect with people. But we're not hearing from a lot of you as to the needs that you have. And so let me just highlight 3 different groups of people that we would love to be able to come alongside and help. First of all, older folks that are struggling as we go into the spring and summer to just keep up with life, whether that be grocery shopping or yard work or just being able to stay connected. We would love to be able to help you out in that. Let us help. But also younger families, particularly families with young kids who have gotten thrust into what is maybe the busiest season you've ever experienced in life, where you've become not just mom and dad and not just employee, but teacher and principal and phys ed teacher and music instructor and a cook and a housekeeper and everything else that you can think of. I know that you're capable of doing all of the stuff that needs to happen to keep life moving. But it doesn't mean that you should. And so we have those who are willing to come alongside and help you. And if we help you, it may help you to be a better mom and dad and better able to weather this storm. And so we would love to be able to help in that category of people as well. And then finally, if you have financial or practical need, we know that these are going to be coming. We know that as the economic downturn continues and gets more difficult, that there's going to be needs that come up. We've reorganized our budget to reflect that. Some have given specifically to a benevolence fund in order to be able to support that. And we have connection through our city, county, and state with lots of free resources, particularly free food that we can get to you. But you need to ask. We don't know that that's happening until you ask. And so if you have need, I know it's difficult to do, but can I encourage you to ask? We would love to help and be a part of this. Last thing is that we are seeing a movement forward in prayer during this time, which is so cool. We always say that prayer is the first work, and I'm really excited to see our prayer ministry moving forward. Starting next week, starting actually this Sunday, and then through after that, we have 3 weekly prayer gatherings that are being opened up to anybody who wants to jump in and pray via Zoom. So you're going to be getting online and praying over the video chat machine, which is not ideal, I know, but it is a way to connect and it's a way to be able to pray. And it's been really, really powerful. So Monday nights, Friday mornings, and Sundays at 9:45 before the live stream starts. There's going to be more information in the weekly email newsletter to how to jump into those. But starting this Sunday at 9:45, there's going to be a group of people praying into our live stream worship gathering, and we'd love for you to join that. There's going to be a group on Monday nights that are praying very specifically for those who have been affected by this crisis, those who are on the front lines. And then again on Friday morning, praying for specific needs that are out there. And so we'd love for you to jump into those. There's going to be Zoom information on our weekly email newsletter. And if you're not able to get that or access that, if you would just send an email to info@yorkalliance.org, we'd love to get that information to you. Just let us know what prayer meeting you'd like to join, and we'll make sure that you get the information to be able to do it. So let me recap quickly. Communion. This Sunday, we're going to be able to celebrate together. Bring your own elements. It's going to be a wonderful time. Community groups. Jump in. If you want to lead, we would love to train you and prep you for that. And if you're not ready to lead at this point, we would love to get you involved. And so please sign up for that. Practice guides are coming out. You can get a PDF copy of that on our website, on the show notes on Sunday morning, as well as part of our weekly emailed newsletter. Needs, if you have needs, please let us know about them. We would love to be able to meet them and be the body of Christ for one another. And then 3 weekly prayer meetings, Monday night, Friday morning, and Sundays at 9:45 prior to our live stream worship gathering. All of that information is going to be in the weekly email newsletter. Let me just close with a brief word. I think for many of us, we have gone into this time like it was a blizzard, a snowstorm. That's been the metaphor that's really stuck with me by a guy named Andy Crouch. And I think it's really helpful. I think we've tried to navigate it like we would a blizzard. Get all we need and then hunker down and get through. But what we're finding 5, 6, 7 weeks in is that it doesn't feel like a blizzard. You can't hunker down and just push through for that long. It's a lot more like winter. It's a season, and this is going to be a season. And like winter, this is going to be a season that will be over at some point in time. But it's going to be a season that we need to navigate. And I would simply say this: God has work that he does during the winter season. As the ground lies fallow, it prepares for spring. It prepares for bearing fruit. And then there's a slow thaw and a process, one that we are observing all around us right now, that's going to happen in our lives. But if the work of winter hasn't been done, spring will not be as fruitful as it should be. And so can I encourage you? God has specific work that he couldn't do before now, and isn't going to do after this, but during this season, he wants to do in your life and my life. There are some really powerful things that are happening and will happen if we'll allow them to. And so can I encourage you? Don't miss this opportunity. My prayer continues to be that on that day when we're finally able to all gather together again, yes, we'll hug one another and be so glad to see one another, but we'll also be able to look in one another's eyes and know that God has done a profound work, that we are coming back stronger than we left. And that's been my prayer, it's been my heart, and it's my hope for all of us that we would be able to step into that. So can I encourage you? Utilize this time. Recognize that it's a season. It's not just a snowstorm. It's not just something that we try to get through, but this is a season that God is using. And so can I encourage you to let him use it in your life? We'll be together at Crossroads tonight at 7:30. That's Wednesday night at 7:30, and hope you'll be a part of that. And then are really looking forward to celebrating communion with you on Sunday morning. So I hope you're going to be a part of that as well. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was a little bit longer, but there's been a lot of information that we need to communicate. I'll only be sending these out when we have information, so when you see alerts for them, please check them out, and please take in all of that information that's out there. miss you all. I so wish I could see you and give you a hug right now. The best we can do is talk on video. And so, anyway, blessings on you, and I pray that God is doing incredible things during this time. Grace and peace to you.